Welcome to On Cooldown, the show where we would rescue baby kittens if we weren't allergic to cats. This week we had major news that are starting to paint a picture as to what BlizzCon 2019 will be like. Diablo 4, new WoW expansion, maybe even a new IP. J. Allen Brack messaged the community and addressed the big layoff discussion. More updates, class changes, cool tier and stuff coming to 8.1.5. Hello people and welcome to Friday, the day where normal folks stop stressing and working and enjoying the weekend, either gaming, spending it with their families or friends. Not YouTubers though! This week has been a very emotional week for a lot of people. Over 700 of them lost their job at Blizzard, while the rest of the community weeps for the future of Blizzard as we speak. For now. We covered these stories earlier in the week, so if you want to know more about the big layoff and the Q4 report in the earnings call, check the video out, it's on our channel. J. Allen Brack also came out a few days ago with a public statement about the people that were fired. Yeah, I said fired. Not a lot of people feel comfortable phrasing it this way, but why sugarcoat it? It's shitty. It's how corporations work, and Mr. Brack's statement did not make it better in my opinion. Reading it and working it out felt like he was trying very hard to speak as little as he could about the layoffs as possible and tried to paint a positive picture with scripted words we have heard so many times before. We have the largest lineup of games we've ever had. Plus, of course, other corporate sounding words. Through all of this negative PR they have been building up for the past few months, they're still sticking to their guns. They haven't changed their responses and general attitude towards their future, which leads Marcelian and I to believe that maybe, yeah, they might actually have something in store for us that could win our trust and favor back. Of course, they could have Jack and we should all just switch to Apex Legends or whatever flavor of the month game it will be at the time. But I doubt it. Even if Blizzard lost its soul, it still cares about the money, and money will come when we get at least some things that we want. So that's what we at MarcelianOnline think, that we will get at least a few things that we want at BlizzCon 2019. In their Q4 earnings call, they stated clearly that we won't have any big releases this year, but that doesn't mean we won't have announcements. Usually during March, April, BlizzCon tickets start being available for sale and the hype is building up for the event. Not to mention an official date is already up for November the 2nd, which will be a Saturday. They mentioned 20% growth to their developing teams for major franchises, Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch and such. And specifically they mentioned they are aggressively hiring new talent. All of this points into a direction where we will have an announcement for the new WoW expansion, which, judging past time frames, shouldn't be a surprise. But what expansion could be next? There's still a lot of story from BFA that we haven't uncovered yet, and we don't know if N'Zoth will be the final boss of the expansion. Probably not. Will he be in the next one? Will we have a Black Empire expansion? Return to the chaos and all gods shenanigans? A little Cthulhu here and there? Yes, dear God, please yes! For some time, I thought N'Zoth will be this expansion's last boss the way he was being built up. But some of us thought similar about Sargeras being the last boss of Legion, and look how that turned out. Also, the major letdown of 2018 was Diablo Immortal, so it's pretty safe to assume we will have Diablo 4 at BlizzCon 2019. Since they stated they don't have major releases planned for 2019, this means Diablo 4 will come at least in 2020. It better. At this point, it better come in 2020. So clearly hype will be built up for it at BlizzCon 2019. Will we have game footage? Will we have a playable demo? Highly possible. They planned initially for that to be at BlizzCon 2018, but seemingly couldn't put it together in time, so they scrapped and denied it. Come on, like we're that stupid? Around the time of BlizzCon 2018, there were rumors of a new IP, which is very likely to be announced this year. Now, with all the information we know about their mobile gaming direction, would the new IP be a mobile game? That could mean we won't risk seeing their next WoW expansion on our phones. Or would you guys prefer the new IP to be a PC one? That could bring some fresh new blood in the mix, and if it's not another cartoon-like Overwatch game, I'm super hyped. Sorry Overwatch fans, but I grew up with dark, gritty Blizzard, with semi-mature storylines and not Sunday morning cartoons. Blizzard is facing harsh criticism from its fans at the moment, but we still think it could turn it around. It will take a lot. It will take a lot to turn it around, but it's possible. And what better way to do it than BlizzCon 2019? And how can they build up hype more if not by having Mike Morhaime and Metzen there to present it? We know Metzen attended last year's BlizzCon as a member of our group, so he is no stranger to BlizzCon show-ups. If anything that we said will come true, what would excite you guys the most? Leave a comment down below and subscribe to our channel for more weekly WoW news, PvP and PvE content. This week we had major hotfixes rolling out. Super major nerfs to healers in PvP, specifically in the aftermath of the AWC games last week. We covered this in an earlier video, so if you want to know the details, check that video out. Following the PvP nerfs, we discussed neurotoxin being nerfed potentially to sort out a bug. Well, it also received another bug fix concerning unintentional effects when spells were interrupted by kicks, for instance. As well as poison knives being addressed also because an unintentional side effect of removing the non-active lethal poison applied by Shiv. You rogues, the world just doesn't get you. We also have a few PvE ones as well, although not for the players. High Tinker Mechatork has received a few nerfs on Heroic. Wind Up, the buff he did to his little bots, was giving them 20% haste and movement, but now it will be scaled down to 10%. Also, his total health has been nerfed by 5%, again only in Heroic. Also, in the King Rustakhan fight, 3 of the abilities present in the fight will no longer target pets. Wow, our group hasn't encountered this issue so far, but I can imagine the rage train that would ensue when Scorching Detonation would trigger on the Hunter pet. Speaking of changes, we are seeing more minor changes to classes in 8.1.5. We had some bigger ones earlier in the year, but now most of them seem to be tooltip changes. Not all though. Feeding Frenzy, the Azurite trait for BM hunters, has been nerfed a bit. The 8.1.5 build for Adrenaline Rush was nerfed as well. Aside from the effect on life, it was set to also provide you with 200 extra energy, which was taken down to 50 extra. And of course, we mentioned a few weeks back after the first Q&A of the year that certain cooldowns will be adjusted to match the GCD system and essentially feel impactful when it's pressed. The example we got from Ian was that of Resto Shaman's Ascendance. When you will press the button, it will still do what it does on live, but once pressed will immediately heal nearby allies for 600% spell power. In 5-man groups this could be really good. Heck, in 3v3 arenas this could work wonders. I expect more and more strong cooldowns to feel this way and not make us do 3 to 4 spell setups before we can actually use the effect it provides. I'm looking at you, Fury Warrior, with your Recklessness, Racial, Siegebreaker, Dragon's Breath, Rampage combo that puts me to sleep before I actually start my rotation. And since we are on the 8.1.5 subject, a couple of new additions. Dance animations, baby! Oh yeah! Plus the cool Tyrian humans have had their heritage armor updated, with their long coat not as long anymore, and no more anchors. Why is this important? Well, it's because it's not. I just like long coats. Last thing I want to add is the faction mounts available for the achievement 2 sides to every tail. I spoke last week about the Alliance getting the Orc Wolf as a mount and how that is a step in diluting faction identity. It is. Or was to some extent, since at the time we had no info if the Horde would be getting something similar. And they are. Horde is getting its very own fleshy horse with orc armor, because that's how Horde mounts should be, okay? I think this feature is cool. It speaks to a duality of each faction and how neither is right or wrong, but both having shades of grey. If this stops here, cross-faction mounts like this, then I'm fine. We cover pretty much everything that's big coming out over the course of a week. And I'm saying big because we don't cover pet battles. They're trash. Well, they're not. Marcelian thinks they're trash. I love them, but clearly he has no soul and hasn't grown up with Pokemon.
To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
But what do you guys think? Should Horde get human mounts? I mean, we saw orcs riding horses and I don't think I want to see that again. Follow us on social media if you enjoy our video. We do a lot of PvP and PvE content over the course of the week, and this weekly WoW news show comes every Friday for the moment. And you can get all the sweet updates on our Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Flame, and I'll see you guys next time.